every moment, is our every experience of life. And so yoga is really harmonizing the ethereal and the reality in the present moment, but
Yeah.
it's actually being so present to
Every
what's
moment
going on
is
around
our
us.
every
Oh,
experience of life.
getting
And
some
so
feedback,
yoga,
sorry. And that to me has become such a fascinating principle because it's an ongoing practice.
Yes.
And it's like one of these things that I've discovered is leadership is not somebody who we are or who we become. It's a practice. It's a daily practice
Mhm.
of
Mhm.
continuing to pay attention and leading ourselves. And then as a result,
Yeah.
we can pay attention to the energy.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, good point.
Yeah. It becomes a part of you.
Hey, Christine.
Okay, guys, I'll see you later. Have a great
We love
day.
you. See you, Tracy.
Okay, you too. Take care.
We're doing a
Just-
blessing.
Yeah.
I feel it. I feel it.
Okay, she feels it. She feels
Blessings
it.
are everywhere.
Yes,
Blessings are everywhere. I
she
love this
knows. Yes.
situation.
She knows the magic. Yeah.
Ah,
Christine, you want to say hello? How are you? It's been so long.
I know. It has been so long.
it was
I was
fun
going,
yesterday.
I know
That
I
was
got on yesterday. Sigita said the same thing. I
Oh,
don't
you
think I've
guys
seen you
already
guys since
met.
I went to Peru.
Tell us
yeah.
about Peru. Wow.
Brenda already heard about it yesterday. It was great. It was a really great trip.
You
Hmm.
It
can
was 2 weeks.
talk about it again. I'm okay with that.
Yeah, we went for 2 weeks. Our facilitator was amazing. He was from Peru. He was an archaeologist, so we got to see a lot of archaeological sites that some people couldn't even get into because he had been doing it for so long. He was the lead archaeologist that found the Inca trails that connected Brazil, Colombia, and Peru. And he got a vision and doing an ayahuasca journey. He got the vision of where this trail was. And he was young, of course. Yeah, he's 70 now, but this was back, I think, when he was either 30 or in his 20s. And he tells his team, okay, we're going to go to this area to like uncover an Inca trail. And they're like, what are we doing? Why are we going there? And he said, well, I got the vision in the journey. This is where we're going to go. And they all thought he was crazy. And lo and behold, they start digging and they find the Inca trail.
Ah, it's
He
wild.
was really amazing. He was definitely a kindred soul. Like I love him. He is just a beautiful man. And he did he was the shaman for our San Pedro journeys. And then we had a different shaman for the ayahuasca journeys when we were in the jungle. It was cool. It was full moon. We did the San Pedro. So that was interesting. And then the first Aya ceremony we did was on my birthday, which that was the first time I had ever done Aya. And I was saying yesterday, we did the Aya and he did real small doses because he wanted to see how we'd react to it. And he kept it really pure. So it was just the Aya and then this other plant to bring in some hallucinations. And I went to bed that night feeling a bit disappointed because I didn't feel like anything happened. And so I was frustrated and disappointed, feeling that way. And then I wake up in the morning to a shit ton of emotion and was super sad and crying and a hot mess. And was like, what is going on? Why am I so sad? And realizing it was the medicine. So bringing it out. So it's like, that's good. And then we did an integration. And afterwards, I stayed with the facilitator and then the shaman doing the Aya. He didn't speak English, so the facilitator was translating for us. And like our facilitator was 70, and probably the Aya shaman was upper 50s, I'm guessing. He had been doing Aya since he was 14. So they were very experienced. And so they were giving me lots of, just lots of guiding support through it. It was beautiful. And then that night we did another journey, and that one was really um, amazing. Like it ended up like integrating my masculine and feminine energy in me, and did a lot of shedding of like trauma. So I had integration with selves that had kind of isolated and broken off from me, and they came back in. It was cool. It was really cool. And on my birthday, they have this, we did a lot of rituals. And so on birthdays, they always give back to Mother Gaia. They do something to give back to Mother Gaia. And we were in the jungle at that point, and I had found somewhere this kiddie pool with little baby turtles. These baby turtles were like this big, like they were the size of a $50 coin. They were teeny tiny. They were only 2 weeks old. And so we ended up going out. We were looking for pink dolphins. We're out in the water, which I love the water. I love the outdoors. Like I'm very much in my happy space outdoors, preferably in the mountains or when like in the water. So we're, in this boat, we're looking for pink dolphins. And then we end up going to this beach that the sand was so, 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 so fine. It was like baby powder. And it actually, the guide went off and brought some back because it was like clay almost. It was like mud. So he's like, yeah, put it all over your body because it has this healing property. We were laughing because people go to spas and pay, hundreds of dollars for this and we're getting it for free. It's like, this is cool. And then we end up going to a different spot and they were like, okay, so for Christine's birthday, we're gonna, instead of giving back to like Mother Gaia, like the earth, we're gonna give back to the water. So they pull out these baby turtles because nobody had really seen them, and I was telling people about them. Nobody really wanted to go see them. I was like, yeah, you should see them. I mean, there was like, I don't know, 2 or 3 dozen of them. They were so cute. So they had these baby turtles, and we released them into the ocean or into into the river, into the Amazon River. And then you release them and you send a blessing to them and you make a wish. And that was cool. It was like that. My birthday was really, really special this year. It was amazing. Yeah, the journey was amazing. The people were so nice. We got to go to like a couple of villages and just the whole archaeological aspect of being at really sacred places to do the San Pedro and just meeting the guide, and it was amazing. I will go back in a heartbeat. I would do that trip again. The leaders that hosted it, they're from Utah, and they have been going for 20 years working with Ruben, the facilitator, and they go to different parts of Peru to do the Aya journey. So they hadn't been in the jungle for what they say it was pre-COVID that they had been in the jungle, and they were saying how much Machu Picchu had changed since COVID happened because they said like hardly anybody was there, but I guess COVID really changed that. And now it's become one of the 7 natural wonders of the world. So people, I guess, are going more for that. So that was Machu Picchu was pretty crowded. They had 2 different tours that you could do. And you weren't supposed to stop and take pictures, but because we were with Ruben and then he knew the guides, so then we had one of their guides come with us. We were kind of a little freer to do some things, but you had to kind of stay on the path versus I guess before you didn't have to stay on the path. You could go off and explore, and they would do San Pedro actually at Machu Picchu because you could go off on your own because hardly anybody was there. And then you could just find your little spot and, journey out for an hour or so. But we weren't able to do that because there was probably thousands of people, 1,000 people. Yeah, it was cool. They were telling me about the trip that you guys are doing to Brazil in April. So I want to get more info on that because I would love to go.
Yes, amazing. That sounds beautiful. What do you want to know? But first, actually, before you ask questions about that, I have one question. So one of the things when I first ever went to Costa Rica, I did an iboga ceremony, and iboga is pretty intense. And it was fascinating because the shaman was like, I was just in total peace and bliss and experience, but I didn't feel anything. And the shaman was fascinated. He's like, this guy, he's taken so much iboga. They gave me more than normal because they saw something was happening, at least from their perspective. But I felt like it was just like I was just hearing, the monkeys, the howler monkeys, and I was like really listening, and my acuteness became just so profound. Um, and like no, vomiting or any type of uh purging. And I ended up after the seminar, and I just went down to the beach, and just this huge discovery of making myself even more responsible of my life became so prevalent.
Mm.
And so although we didn't maybe like have the the thoughts that most people go through, or like the breakthrough is actually even more profound for me because it gave me this certainty in knowing that the responsibility that I have for myself is so beautiful, and I can do
Mhm.
anything I want, and I can just continue to create that path. And that was at the beginning before I even met
Mm.
Tony or any of these things that I did that. And people were like, you did your first ever uh like plant medicine was iboga? I was like, yeah, because most people are like iboga is like the craziest, thing. And I said, yeah, it was, and I really felt like I was fine. And so
Mm.
it's fascinating how these different plants or these different medicines, they serve us in different ways, but they serve us. And you,
Mhm.
you mentioned actually one thing that is really right now in the present moment is that you really integrated your masculine and feminine. And right now you have a healthy mirror of a feminine and a healthy mirror of a masculine sitting right in front of you. So this is
Mhm.
the observation of how this continuation of integration continues to show up all the time. So just something to emphasize.
Mm. Thank you for that.
Yeah.
Yeah, when I did this on Pedro, it was similar in that I wasn't feeling it. And was it the first night? Well, we did three ceremonies. We did one in the day, one in the evening, one in the day. The one we did in the evening was during the full moon. And that one I was really, like what you were saying, really acute to the sounds and the light, and was feeling like nothing was happening. And I even went up for a second dose. A bunch of us went up for a second dose. And I had a lot. I mean, I only weigh 115 pounds. I mean, I had as much as some of the men had who were, 190. And the next morning was still feeling like I didn't really journey and like nothing happened. And then as we start integrating and people are sharing their stories, I realized, huh, yeah, I have that awareness now. I have that, that awareness. I've learned this about me. It opened me up to have a lot of, I guess, awareness about myself. And I would say overall for the journeys that I did in Peru, and I think since then, because that was the middle to end of October. And since then, what's been happening is, and I think it's because of the medicine since then, is that it's really opened me up to see the deeper layers of my shit. So there were things that I thought I had healed or like come to grips with, or, had gotten to, um, I don't know, like a workable space. Like the one thing I thought I was doing a really good job around self-love, and maybe it's in comparison to, before when I didn't self-love at all, but I thought I was doing a fairly good job of self-love and not self-critiquing and all the negative self stuff, right? And when I did that evening of the San Pedro, then that next morning, and I start listening to people, it was like, holy crap, am I critical of myself and not loving myself and judging myself. And that was a really humbling moment. And like that trip and since then have been very humbling because it's been, wow, like which is like, I'm grateful for it because there's just things, like I said, I thought I had healed, and it's been really showing me, um, and like you see what you're ready for, right? So that's beautiful because I'm ready for it now. But it was just kind of like, nope, now it's time to go deeper, and which is great because I feel like I can then give back better to heal some of these layers that I hadn't seen. Like it's really, I guess, like what I'm saying is it's really uncovered the blind spots. There were places where I didn't think I had blind spots in some areas. And I guess that's why they're called blind spots, because you don't even know you have a blind spot, but it's kind
And
of,
guess what? Guess what? The more that you discover, the more you realize you don't know. because
Right.
it's such an infinite game. That's why I say that there's never too many. Too many is an illegal word for me because infinite, there's infinite lessons. And the more that we discover ourselves, the more we continue to grow. And it's why one of the things that has always inspired me is continuous and never-ending improvement, how Tony talks about it, our
Mhm.
constant never-ending improvement, this kanai, this fact
Never
of
ends. It's always something to learn.
there's always something to learn,
Oh,
and there's
so,
always somebody to teach it to us
yeah.
Yeah.
because we're
Yeah.
all learning from each other. Everything is an infinite mirror, and this grace, this wisdom that comes through each and every one of us, because it does. It comes from all of us. Like there's so many things that both of you ladies can teach me in different scenarios. Because how can I ever experience your map of the world? Because I haven't walked in your shoes. So as a result, you have experienced infinite level of experiences that I could never understand. I could appreciate, but that map of the world is what makes life so freaking amazing because
Mhm.
that's what allows us to actually contribute even more to one another's wisdom and experience of life because that's where we create more color, more vibrancy, more aesthetics, more detail, more like paint, and we painted here, we painted there. And by doing it together, and this is why I always say like doing things together is so much more fun because we bring a whole different element of resourcefulness to each other's lives.
Yeah,
Mhm.
I totally resonate with that. I had always worked on my own, right? I did my photography business for 30 years. Really, mostly it was just me doing it. I would have an assistant to, do some stuff, but I I never, and even when I was doing real estate full time, I was the little island kind of doing it myself. And there was a point I'm like, man, it would sure be nice to collaborate or be with other people or yeah, just not feel that I was, had to do everything. And there was a time it was three of us that started, this Ace Life Investors where we were coaching real estate. And I really loved the part where I had two other people to rely on. Like I didn't have to kind of do everything myself. It wasn't, oh, if I want to go invest in a property, I would have to pretty much figure it out myself. And, we were kind of looking at how we could, we were doing the coaching and then how could we, start investing in sort of these group things. That kind of fizzled off because, for various reasons. I think mostly like when I look at this group, it's based on like that was more ego driven, I would say, our group of it was, like it was, financial. Okay, how much are we going to make? Yeah, we want to serve the people. And that's what I liked about it. I liked coaching people just because I felt like I could help them. And but it was all about like there was such a focus on, well, how much are we going to charge? How much, obviously you have to think about it, but I just after a while, and I think it just kind of faded away because I don't think the foundation was there in the beginning to really understand what we're trying to do. We were trying to serve people, but I don't think we were all cohesive on that. I think it was just ego driven. And yeah. And that was with Andrea. One of them was Andrea, who will join our calls, when she's always traveling. But and and I think we were searching for the same thing, right? We wanted this, to work together and build this thing together. But again, like I say, we were in different places back then. So I really I'm happy to now be moving in a different direction where Brenda is not the island, you know, feeling like she can't, you know, ask for help or bring in other people. So,
And
and
what do
that's
you
what
feel?
the community aspect of things.
Yeah. What do you feel is different and unique about, you mentioned this group, like what's the
Oh,
difference that you're noticing from your
uh,
magic world and the
well,
flavors
it's
that
not ego driven.
yeah.
I'd say that's the big thing. You know, it's not ego driven. And anytime, I think you will even call people out if you hear the ego coming in, because it's a natural, like we've all been kind of seduced by that for so many years. We just think that all the stuff out there is so important, the house you live in, the job title you have, the car you drive, you know, the clothes you wear, blah, 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 all of that. You know, I was seduced by that. And to some degree, probably still, you know, that's still in there, but my drive now is like totally different. I don't want to be like, I'm not interested in uh, having a bigger house, driving a better car, having more money in the bank. Yeah, well, okay, maybe the money in the bank I would be okay with, but
It just amplifies who you are, right?
it just amplifies who you are. And I feel like when you have the resources, you can do more, right? And so that's why having the finances in place helps, because you can do more, you can give more, you can be more of who you already are. Yeah, just like you said. But I think the difference is dramatic, because this group is definitely community driven, you know, everyone, you know, and you're very good at, Eric, pointing out everybody's, you know, lifting everybody up and pointing out people's, you know, strengths. Like, you're good at this. Like, and I think what Christine was saying about, you know, negative self-talk, like we're always, oh, like I always think, well, you know, how can I possibly do that? It's just me, little Brenda in Edmonton. How are you gonna, you know, that talk would happen? Or, you know, you're just not smart enough, you're too old, you're, you know, whatever the stuff that used to go through my head. Like now, now I feel I don't have to, well, now it's more about out there, what I can do for other people. Who cares about, you know, me, really? Like, it's really about what I can do, how I can serve. That's where I get my most joy from, is when you feel like you can make a difference. And yeah, and it really has nothing to do with like Brenda's needs. Like, Brenda doesn't need much. Like, really, I got it all here. It's enough. Whereas before, I'm always striving hard or working hard or wanting more. And I think it was striving for what is that? It's love. What are the 6 human needs? Not certainty, not
Significance.
when people give
Significance.
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 Yeah, I think I was driven by that for a lot of time, because I had to prove when I was 20 that I was something, and I was going to show the world, like, you know, I wasn't a loser. And so I had that as kind of my driving force. And it certainly came in handy, right, when I had to build a business and do what I was doing. But after a while, like, that's not important anymore, right? I think it's like a knowing. You just know your value. You don't need anybody to give you a pat on the back anymore. So I've shifted, you know, from that to, and I even think of when the 3 of us had our Ace Life Investors, you know, to some degree that was significance. You know, oh yeah, look at you guys. You know, you're coaching, you're blah blah blah, this and that. You know, like, who cares, right? It's really about what's the message you're giving to people, and one of the reasons I liked coaching was the fact that I could, or I felt that person was growing somehow.
Mhm.
They were moving forward to a place they wanted to be. And of course, when you're coaching, it's not just about buying another property. It's there's life coaching in there too, because you have to have the right mindset. You can't just, it's not about just, oh, I mean, I had one woman, she bought like 25 property. I mean, she was like, she just went crazy. She's a bit like me. You get something in your mind, you just go do it. But she was also thankful for me that she did that because, first of all, she could do it, right? It's just she felt she had to get permission from her husband. And I said, well, do you really? That you have a business that she runs a real estate school. She makes her own money. She makes, and I said, you have the freedom. Like, if you want to go out and do that, then you can go do that. And like her husband is on board. He actually joined the company and he runs all the real estate. It's kind of like when Tracy and I wanted to have kids and she didn't. And I told her I need to. I basically said, I
I'm doing
need
it.
to. I was 40 and we adopted from China. And of course, she's a fantastic parent. But sometimes it's people you have to initiate if you want, something in life. So I enjoy being in a group that is definitely not ego driven. It's not just about making money. It's, finances are a part of it. Like if you look at all the people that, you've got Ross, I mean, that's kind of his world, right? And then you've got like Sagitas, who's like a freewheeling guy. Like these people influence me a lot because I see them for who they are. And I just like, and I can see that little part in me too. Like Sagitas is kind of playful and like, I love being around that kind of person that is just, and no bullshit. Like you start talking about money or making money. He's like, he's off in his little,
See you later.
I love that. Like you just, yeah, I know. So it's being around people that are living at a higher level is like exciting. I find that exciting. And, when anytime I talk to Eric, I always get something out of these conversations. Anytime I get on one of these calls, I get something from it. It's not because I always think your time is valuable. Like I would rather sit here talking to you guys than, I don't know, what would I be doing? I don't know, making breakfast, I guess. I don't know. But I can take this and then I can influence my family to some degree, right? I try to pull Tracy in,
And she's slowly coming. She's
and
slowly coming and
she is,
spending
and the
time.
more she talks to you, she's gravitating. And Lucy, my 23-year-old was on a call the other day, and like she is such an advocate for a lot of things, especially the environment. So I'm like, oh my God, I got to get her on these calls because she needs to be around these people that are actually doing something. They're not just talking about it, right? And this is the other thing about this group. We're freaking trying to do stuff. It's not just
Not even trying, we're doing.
okay. Yeah, I said trying. Sorry, I was gonna say, yeah, we're doing things. We're not just, it's not lip service. Because I think one of the things that I find difficult is when people are talking about stuff that they're super passionate about, but they don't do a thing about it. It's like the government. Oh, they can't stand the government, and they could do a way better job. I'm like, well, why don't you get into politics? Like, if you're so passionate about it, then what are you going to do? What's your part going to be in kind of making it a better world? Because for me, sometimes when we talk about somebody like Trump, I'm like, okay, he doesn't really affect my life. I don't like that negative energy going in my head because a lot of people don't like him. I'm indifferent, right? I'm just indifferent. I'm like, he's a guy doing his thing. But a lot of people are so passionate about what he's doing, how he's doing it. But I'm like, what are you doing about it? Like, and can you do it? Maybe just, we're in Canada, he's in the US. It's like we can't vote. So you're in the US, so it's probably closer to home for you. But yeah. So Lucy got on that call, and yeah, it was really good for her. I was super excited that she got, and I asked her because she identifies the ADD, and as I was late for things, and so was her excuse. And I said, be integral. If you say you're going to be on the call, be on the call. Don't say you're going to be on the call and not show up, because you know it's there's no integrity there. And so I give her credit, she showed up.
And it strengthens our resolve. Is like one of the things too is with my aunt, like I said, because I'm here in Calgary, I was gonna come, and I actually had to go back on my word because of Date with Destiny, and I gave her the experience, and I told her right, but I said I'm gonna come again. And for me, it was really important to make sure that I was able to refine that. And so it was like, I'm coming back to Calgary to hang out and spend time with you. It doesn't matter. Like, and she's like, oh, it's okay. It doesn't matter. But I was like, no, this is resolved to me, you know?
Yeah.
And
good on you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Not just blowing it off. Like some people might just blow it off. Yeah. And I mean, it takes a lot for me to cancel anything. If I make a plan, it takes a lot for me to cancel, because I feel like I made that commitment and I want to follow through. And of course, we're human, and sometimes I forgot to put it in my calendar. Something happens, right? But when I say I'm going to do something, I really want to be that person that follows through. And if something happens, right? Like something can happen, something comes up, I double book before, then I own up and I make up for it.
Yes.
Exactly.
So grateful. Such integral people in this community. It's so nice to be able to be around that type of outstanding standard. I'm very, very honored. It's really nice.
I think that's it, being around that outstanding standard. Like you just say it right there, right? And I feel too, like Christine, you just went through a journey. You spent the money and put the value in doing something that is going to improve you. It's going to open you up, and it did open you up, right? I really honor people that do that kind of thing, right? Because it's like we want to be better people, and we find these different ways of doing it.
Is why. Sorry, go ahead. My apologies.
Which is no, I was just like it, basically saying the same thing. It's when people are on journeys of personal growth, working on being a better version of themselves. That's what I've been doing for 40 years, right? And then there's sometimes this pivotal moments, like something like I went on a journey too in November, and that was a pivotal moment that got me on this current journey I'm on. And I'll be forever grateful for that, because had I not done that, I don't know if I would have been connected to Eric on the same level, right? I don't know if I'd be in this group. I don't know where my head would have been, but because I opened up and I thought, oh my God, I have a heart. It's there. It's working. Because I really didn't know how to connect to it. I was in my head most of the time. Everything was like it was up here. And when you're not connected to the heart, you're missing out on like all this, right? Like serving people. I'm sure you went through your own experiences, Eric, when you had when your heart cracked open. You've talked about that. And that wasn't even that was 4 years ago.
Yeah, that was Brazil. That's why Brazil is such an important spot, and why we're driving the experience there at the end of April, because that's the place that really cracked my heart open. And it wasn't yet with the journeys that I had the pleasure of spending time there, but it was in the presence of being on the biggest landmass of quartz. It was the 2,500 waterfalls, swimming in these like crystal waterfalls every day. It was spending time with a woman that at that time was my partner and I loved, and really learning to deal with that separation and defining who I was and recognizing my own lacks and my own ego and my own self-worth issues, and then defining and recognizing, wait, that there is so much more here in this experience of life, and that nature, forest, jungle, river, elements are so much more meaningful, and why they're actually here to teach me and guide me. And so I started to learn even deeper, spend more time with the elders, spent time with different shamans and tribes that actually would come all the way from the Amazon and spend time with me at the house that we're actually going to be back in. So
That's
uh,
cool.
we're literally going back to the place that was my home. Is now it's now a wellness center, wellness retreat center they turned it into. And this is a place that I was curating, creating. I had a vision of really wanting to bring more people together, and now it's that somebody else
Now,
is yeah,
yeah.
it's curating it. But the focal point was it was during COVID, it was during all of these, and I was wanting to do so much, and there was so many blockages because of people and their perspectives of how they chose to see COVID. And I was breaking like all these status quo paradigms and challenging,
Yeah.
and I created a lot of stir up in that community at that time because I didn't care about the rules. I'm a rule breaker. So I kept, bringing people together. I didn't care about what the situation was, and I just kept moving forward. And eventually, things didn't work out. But I moved to Ibiza after that. But the point is, and Ibiza gave its own deal of experience and lessons that made me even stronger in other ways.
Yeah.
However, Brazil was what really was the fundamental opening, and it taught me the magic of my existence. It taught me so much more. And there's people there, the community there, the way that they're impacting locally, thinking globally, and really why the whole reason comes together of really bringing, what we're calling the conscious revival retreat together, because it really was what revived my consciousness.
And
So
yeah.
yeah, so this is going to be a really special event, Christine, and I hope that you can make it down. It'll be really beautiful to um yeah, to really go deeper.
When is it? What did you say yesterday, Brenda? It's April 28th to May 4th?
Fourth.
May the force be with you.
May 4th? Okay. Were people coming in from all over the world, I'm guessing?
Yeah, all over. A lot of people that are also curating from all over, so like meaning people that will be some co-facilitators and support that are also coming in. So I think that the biggest thing, the distinction that I've discovered over the course of my journey, is that the world has truly become my playground. And I've really, really allowed a global community come together in my own life just by being myself, just by
Yeah.
really living a life of complete by design, just by doing things that I followed my heart for so many years. And I didn't think, I was being, and I still am being, except now I'm being with a strategy, and now I'm being with being able to consciously use my intelligence, because before I was, one of the things is like, and it's like, it's not just about being positive. It's about, utilizing our intelligence to see things as they are, not worse than they are. And I didn't know I was doing all of this unconsciously then. Now I'm doing it consciously. And I'm able to now put things together that make sense. And by having amazing community team, people that I love, that I trust, they trust me. It's like we're really bridging a community of infinite possibilities that are in total devoted service. And this
Mhm.
total devoted service is like it's becoming so powerful. And um I didn't even know what I was doing at the time. I was just being myself.
Look what you did. Yep, I know.
So it's fascinating. Like, and one of the things like that I always resonate with, Tony says, you overestimate what you can do in a year and you underestimate what you'll get done in 10. And I'm
Mhm.
really starting to feel this.
Yeah, starting to happen. It's great. Love hearing that.
Yeah.
Fun to come. Yeah, I'm thinking about, well, do I really need to get a knee replacement? Because I'm supposed to get a knee replacement like February, March, and then I can't travel for 3 months. I'm like, maybe I don't need that knee replacement quite yet. Yeah. Anyway,
Have you talked to
Scotty,
Scotty about it? What did he say?
yeah, he's coming actually. We already did one session of, he did a bunch of knee exercises for me. And then today he's coming to do upper body.
Nice.
Super excited.
Yeah.
Get
Scotty's
that.
also part of the family, Christine. So Scotty's
Hmm.
also known me for, I don't know if you've met Scotty yet, but
Mhm. I don't think so.
he lives here in Edmonton as well.
Oh,
He's also known me for almost 2 decades. So he's also been part of like the fitness journey of mine for a very long time. So
hmm.
he's observed and watched, and so
Uh,
he's just been
it's
always
great.
there for me. Yeah.
Beautiful
That's cool.
person. Yeah. So we'll see.
Yeah. Christine, what's next for you besides coming to Brazil?
I'm leaving next Friday, this coming Friday, to drive out to Utah for the winter with my dog. Um, yeah, this will be my 5th winter doing that, and
What are
this
you
year
doing in
feels
Utah?
different. Hmm?
How long are you in Utah? And what are you doing in Utah just to spend time?
I go out to ski pretty much, but I've had, like 3 of those years, I had my job of 21 years, so I was established and could take off in the afternoons to go skiing without issue. And then last year I wasn't working, so it wasn't an issue. And now I'm starting to look for a job. So January 6th, I'm going to be manifesting my job with purpose.
Business
And
mastery could help you.
I was
what?
just gonna.
Business mastery could help you.
Yeah, I know, except I have a friend coming out to visit the 17th to the 25th of January.
Bring them along.
No, they wouldn't. No, I mean they're specifically coming out to ski.
Oh,
Which is interesting because Eric's heard me reference this person that I've been dating, and yeah, that's a whole other story. So
is it good?
no, like
Oh, okay. Okay.
it's just I feel I feel shitty more than I feel loved. It's like we've been dating now for 7 months, and I know what Tony says about expectations. I mean, he's a great mirror for me. That part's beautiful because for sure I've seen things about me, learned things about me that I know I wouldn't have been able to learn on my own and hadn't learned with previous partners. So that part's beautiful. Um, yeah, I feel like we're not aligned. And yet,
And he's coming on the 17th.
yeah, it's just so, it's like, it's just hard, you know? It's like, I don't think relationships should be easy yet.
Maybe that's
I don't
why
feel
it's
like
not,
we, hmm?
maybe that's why it's not easy.
Because you're saying it's hard.
That's right. So if you're thinking, I don't think relationships should be easy, then what do you think you're
Well,
looking for?
yeah, that's a good point. Yeah.
You know,
I mean, I feel
it's
like they
so
should be easier
beautiful.
than what this is. You know what I mean? Like this is harder than I feel it should be. Everything's effing hard. You know, like everything is an effing conversation. And it's just like I feel like it's been good practice for me to love him for where he's at, you know? And I put a lot of intention around not judging him and meeting him where he is and loving all parts of him.
Can I ask a question?
Hmm.
Because you keep saying about him, what about you? Right? Like
That's
Yeah.
it's so beautiful to take responsibility of the situation because that's what we can control, right? It's easy to say, hey, what he's doing or what I'm doing or what Brenda's doing or but what's more challenging for our ego is to say, what the fuck can I do better? Because like
yeah.
this
I feel like I do
experience,
that in terms of I feel like I almost I see myself doing a lot of self-abandoning and by loving him, which is conflicting to me because by what I had said earlier about like I have been meeting him where he's at and seeing him for who he is and loving all parts of him. What also that has been doing, I think, is I've been self-abandoning. Um, which is the part that's not feeling good. I'm not blaming him for like why I'm not feeling good. I'm blaming myself, which blaming like I
Yeah.
hate to use that
You're
word,
still, you're still blaming, and that could be the
is because
problem.
I'm self-abandoning.
but what does that mean
You know,
Yes.
self?
I
Yeah.
recognize the part of me that is like, Christine, why are you choosing this? You're choosing this. Why are you choosing this? You
So why are
know,
you choosing?
and I don't know why. I mean, I don't know the specific reason. I know the high level reason is because there's some wounded part of me that I'm, um, yeah, some wounded part of me. And like, it definitely being in a relationship with him brings up like my abandonment issues. So I'm sure it has to do something around that. Um,
So
Yet I get
can
mad at,
I
I get frustrated with myself because I'm like, I'm choosing this. Like, damn it, Christine, why are you choosing this?
Because maybe you don't know really what the underlying emotion, like just, I will just give you a quick story about what, because very similar to what you were just saying. I have been with my partner 30 years. And I started thinking, oh, this isn't working out. Like she's going here, I'm going there. We're not aligned. I said those same words you said. And and that's when I decided I was, this friend told me about Mike. I went and I did some releasing, and I released one of the things that was driving me that I was not aware of necessarily because I was suppressing, repressing, was that I had a wall up. I wouldn't let Tracy in. I wasn't giving and receiving love because of all the shit from my past that I'd never really released. And I was this person, and it was a bit of a shock to me because I wasn't looking inside for the reason the relationship wasn't working out. I was looking on the outside. Oh, this is happening. She's doing that, basically putting the blame on her, even though I knew there was things I was doing, but I didn't really know the depth of what I was doing. I was shutting down. I was just, it was just shocking to me to realize it's all about me. It's not about her. Really, it's all me. Whatever is happening in my outside world is all me, including my relationship with Tracy. And until I realized that there was nothing that was going to change, it was going to be continued. So I basically changed on the spot. I came from that experience. My energy, and Tracy noticed it right away, was totally different. She just noticed that I was open, that's funny how people sense energy. They just sense the energy. You don't even have to say anything. I hardly said anything, right? Because I was in this peaceful place so that I didn't want to break this thing I had with my heart. But then I was outwardly projecting, more love and connection, and I didn't have the wall up. I had a wall protecting me. I felt I had to be protected. And as soon as that came crashing down, I became a different person. And in turn, Tracy could feel that energy and respond to it. So you might want to think about that when you're thinking about him, and think about more about what is it that you are doing that is creating that kind of experience in your life? Because that's what I had to do. Because then when I looked at Tracy, I'm like, well, as soon as and she thinks Tony is a cult. I'm in a cult. And she would be always upset about that. But now she is much more, because I'm different, she's different. She's processing that so differently. When I spent 10 or how many days, I don't know, 9 days, 8 days, can't even remember, doing Date with Destiny, there was no problem. Like she didn't have, wasn't pissed off. Well, normally she'd be pissed off at that because I was probably projecting out, basically, I'm going to do this. I don't care what you think. And, I'm projecting out my own. Whereas now I don't have to do it. I can just be myself. I can just be me. And I've told her, I don't want to be retired. That's not me. I need to do this and that. And she wants to be retired. And I go, that's fine. That you do you, as long as I can still be me. And I didn't have to, pretend or leave stuff out. I could just totally go, this is what's happening. So what I hear from you is so similar to how I was feeling. I was just feeling, oh, we're not aligned. That was my big line. And I realized it really didn't have anything to do with that. Like, yeah, I guess we weren't aligned because I was off here and I wasn't including her, right? I was not being impeccable with my words. I was making assumptions. I was doing all of it. Like I think of all the things that I was doing before. It's because it's all I knew. I didn't know. Now I know what I know and I can't go back. Now I know it's about me, not them. Nobody on the outside is if they're going to react how they're going to react. And that's okay, right? As long as I'm being me and I'm not, and as soon as I took that attitude where I'm responsible for my own life and I can actually live by those words. I don't have to just say those words, but not really live them. Because a lot of people will say, yeah, you create your own life. Well, when you really go deep and realize, yes, you are creating everything around you, then you have to own that and not project out that it's their fault and they're to blame. I used to do that with my tenants. I constantly blaming, oh, you did this and you did, I would put all the blame on them. Now I shifted that all around to how can I help you? How can I make this better experience for you? And the thing that I want to stress is you can change in a second. Does not take months or weeks. It is just thinking about what you're going to project out to the world. And is it love, or is it fear and rejection and abandonment? Because I have a lot of abandonment issues. I can go through all my old stories and tell you about all the abandonment all these people did, but that's not me anymore. That's my old story. I am in charge now. The queen is in charge. Not the warrior. The warrior used to be in charge. Warrior would get shit done and then bulldoze through everybody. Here I come, including my family. And my family recognize I'm more present because I don't have to hide myself in work. Like I would hide myself in my work. I'd be a workaholic. Oh no, I gotta go do this, guys. Oh no, I gotta go do this, guys. And I wasn't present. And again, that shift can be just so quick. That's the thing that astonishes me. Because a lot of people, this would take 40 years I've been on the journey of personal growth. And it was just this thing that just happened that just like changed so many things. It's just like astonishing. And I'm grateful for it because this is the person I want to be. And I remember during Date with Destiny. Have you done Date with Destiny?
Yeah.
No. Yeah.
Yeah. I've done all of Tony's stuff except
All
it
of
was
them,
story.
Yeah. And I've done a lot of his events, a lot of them. And when I did Date with Destiny for the third time, this time, it was a totally different experience. Because my heart was open. I wasn't in my head all the time, thinking, oh yeah, I'm going to do that. And when it came to coming up with my purpose, I had a clear vision of my purpose. It came in a vision, like we were doing a meditation. And I think it was that meditation on purpose. And remember, we had to go through all the kids. When you're 5 years old, what did you want? What were you doing? When you're 12, what were you doing? And what did you want to be? And I was like, I'm surviving. I wasn't thinking about what I wanted. I could hear them in the room. Yeah, I wanted to be an accountant or a dentist, or I could hear it. I'm like, that never came. Well, it probably did, but you know how memories, half of them are not true. Like they're just things I made up. I probably made all that up because I'm sure my parents at some point were loving, but that my story was no, they were not there. They did this, they did that. And, I was, not loved, and I made up, and I'm sure half of those memories are not true. That was the other thing I think in Date with Destiny that kind of hit me, how memories you can be told. Like my dad didn't give me $85 one time for university. Oh, I held on to that story for years and years and years. And like maybe he never got the message. Maybe he never got my letter. You know what I mean? It's like, yeah. So I would just encourage you to think about your part, because you're creating that to some degree. You've attracted him. And maybe
I know. I do know all that. I know I've attracted him. I actually probably I take too much responsibility for things and give him way too much excuse for things.
You're also now talking about him again, right? When you just said that.
Yeah. I feel like I own my shit when it comes to it. And I think it's more like I'm looking at it as...
Can I just interrupt you? I have to interrupt you because I don't feel like you necessarily processed everything that Brenda reported to you. And what I'm sensing here is you're responding from a moment from your mind versus actual genuinely feeling what was offered here. The wisdom, the guidance, the grace in which it was delivered, it's coming from a protective space right now. It's not coming from a place of, wow, thank you. I appreciate you. This is the difference, and this is the feeling. So, and when you say your immediate response is, I know, this is, I know. I know is actually embodying, making the difference having the difficulty, the challenge, and opening up. So I really want to. I'm observing you, and I'm observing your response, and I really want to encourage you to just really, really tap into that moment of feeling, because the feeling is what really is where we need to process. And there's nothing wrong with that. There's a moment of grace in that, and you don't need to protect yourself here. You're safe, and you're in a safe space. We're here to serve you. We're here to be around you. We love you. Like this is just you being able to go through that experience and then navigate in best way that you choose to outside of this room as well, right? So I know that this may not be the experience that most men can provide, okay? Or create a space like this where they can really appreciate and understand the emotion that's coming through. But the knowing is actually feeling, okay? So I just want to really just like take that in, because what Brenda just shared is coming from such a deep space, right? And it's coming from such a deep level of experience, and um, let go of this.
The feeling is of frustration. Like I just feel frustrated all the time. And when I hear you, Brenda, it's like, wow, I like there's a part of me because I did, Joe Dispenza. So I know there's a part of me, like when you say it doesn't have to be, it can just change, like literally, like the snap of a finger, right? I've had moments like that with like when I did my first date with Destiny or Tony, it was like that. I literally came back a different version. My friends were like, wow, what happened to you? Like something happened at this event, kind of thing. In this situation, I just feel so like, what's the word? I can't put my finger on the word. Like, defeated. Yeah,
Mhm.
that's the word. I feel so defeated. Um,
And when I hear that, when I hear defeated, and then I hear that you're taking the time to go and use your energy around something that makes you feel defeated. When Brenda asks you how the relationship, and your response is, it probably wasn't this smiley, but it was like, like the response in the face was extremely of it looked defeated.
mm,
So asking yourself, hold on a second, is something maybe more that I need to do for myself still right now before I allow other
mm,
energy into my experience that is not serving what I need? It doesn't mean that you give up. It just means that you create the space for yourself to do what you need to do for yourself, because you can't give from an empty space. And if already the experience is saying, hey, he's coming, he doesn't want to go skiing, or blah, he won't want to do this, that, maybe the alternative is to actually come and spend time, with people that will nourish you, will revitalize you, will love on you, and will give you the space and the time and the presence that you're actually needing from a full cup,
mm,
versus feeling defeated.
Yeah.
mm.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
This is something that I encourage you to process, but before we go, I'm going to say a quick prayer on Sunday. Is that okay, ladies?
Yes,
Yeah.
let's do it.
Okay. So I invite you to take a deep breath, close your eyes. Beloved Spirit, thank you so much for these wonderful ladies opening up their hearts, continuing to provide from a space of abundance and a benevolence of service and opportunities of growth, and opportunities so that we can create meaningful connection, meaningful conversation, meaningful focus of devotion and change as we continue to fully embody our grace, our wisdom, our purpose alongside one another, so we can serve in greater harmony, and we can continue to navigate these beautiful lessons of life that you continue to help us navigate and show us. May we always learn from each other and provide the best that we can wherever we can. Appreciate you, ladies.
Thanks, guys.
I appreciate you both. Thank you for your words. Thank you for the course correction, Eric. Thank you, Brenda, for sharing your experiences with Tracy and your aha moment where you changed on a dime. I think that's amazing. That's a great, I don't know, success story to hear. To
Well, you
hear
can,
somebody that
everyone
just
can,
literally did it, just that made the decision and did it. There was no trying, just did it.
yeah, that's right.